Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmaya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.
Thank you for joining me. This is Kati Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. Welcome back to our Thursday time together, where we have a shorter podcast, but maybe some more food for thought. It's you and I together today, friends. So we're going to talk about overcoming offense. When is the last time you've been offended? What happened? What was it? Who offended you? What were the circumstances, the context? I think it's important to make note of that and recognize any triggers. And hopefully today, this will be one of those episodes you share with your team, because there is no world in which we live where you will not, at some point, get offended. Have you ever been corrected? And instead of hearing the wisdom, you heard the sting. You felt it. In our industry, very, very creative, emotive industry, offense can happen pretty regularly because we work with other creatives on our team and we work with consumers. And we're all emotional human beings. At the end of the day, emotions drive 95% of our decisions. Even online comments or lack thereof can cause offense. Today, I really want to gear this towards leaders who are called to help shape the careers and the lives of their team members. And it's hard. It is touchy because people can get offended. If you can't be corrected without being offended, you will never grow. I'm going to say that again. If you cannot be corrected, if I can't offer you suggestions and feedback without you getting offended, sometimes if I can't call you out and hold you accountable to upholding standards, making the right choices, if I've called you out for choices that you made that weren't right, doesn't mean I'm canceling you, cutting you. But if I'm calling you out and you get offended, that means you won't grow. It's a lack of maturity. And we've all been there. I've certainly been there with coaches in the past or mentors, various people I've done business with. I personally have struggled with this. What does it mean to be offended? It's a reaction to feeling wronged, disrespected, or challenged. That's what being offended is. It's simply a reaction to feeling wronged, disrespected, or challenged. So if a teammate suggests a better way or they notice something, it doesn't mean what you did is terrible, but being open to hearing maybe another way. Where's your mindset when that happens? Or a client giving feedback. We have worked really hard to earn our worth and gain the respect from consumers of being in this role, in this vocation. And sometimes I think that has hardened our hearts to not coming into the relationship with them with empathy that goes both ways. Put yourselves in their shoes. They are hoping that we're going to listen to their goals, what they want for their hair, skin, nails, body, etc. And when there is a misalignment or missed expectations, that can be hurt by them if they share that feedback. Are you offended or are you open to that feedback? Offense can grow if we don't take a look at the inside ourselves. So think of correction. This is how we hopefully can reframe when we're corrected specifically by a leader on our team. If you're a leader and you have to correct, this is the kind of mindset you want to help the people that you're leading get into. Correction is a mirror. It's uncomfortable but necessary. I mean, says every married person in the world. If you have a long lasting committed relationship, that person is going to be a mirror to all of your best things about you and all your flaws. There is no hiding who you really are with that person. It's the most vulnerable relationship ever. And when you start working with people and you spend a ton of time with them, they are going to become a mirror. You're a mirror. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. When you get offended, you close the door to learning. One of my favorite leaders out there who's spoken a lot about this, offered sermons and even leadership podcast episodes on this is Craig Groeschel. And he says, offense is the fence that keeps you stuck where you are. So picture a fence. So maybe you have a fence around your home or you drive by a fence if on the way to work, whatever, picture it. A fence is that fence that keeps you stuck where you are. It's confining you. Correction is the key that gets you to where you want to be. I love that. And growth requires courage to separate feedback from feelings. That is not easy to do, but if you can work on that and master that, you're going to grow 10 times faster than you normally would and that most people would because you're open. I love feedback. And guess what? This is one of the A player traits. If you have A players on their team or on your team, one of the number one traits of an A player is like constantly wanting, no matter how far up they've gotten, no matter what their title is, they always want to know, how could I be better? What more could I do? What's the next thing I need to learn to really master my craft? Masters often never feel like they've mastered their craft, and that is honorable. If you keep and maintain that mindset, there is no limit. There is no ceiling to how far you can go in this industry. How do you overcome being offended? Pause before reacting. If you can't take a couple breaths, if you were like, it means you stop listening. Do you ever have that person you're in a conversation with and you can tell that as you're talking, they're like ready to respond to you and you're like, oh, it means you're not really listening. You just can't wait to say what you want to say. Okay, don't try not. And I've been that person. So try not to do that. Really just sit back. And sometimes I literally have to write down the thing quick that I want to bring up. Of course, with podcasting, right? If I have a guest on the show and they say something awesome and I'm like, oh, I got to come back to that because that was great and I want to ask more about it. I got to jot that down so I remember to revisit that. But I don't want to stop them. I don't want to interrupt. I want to let it fully write out. And if you actually give people a few second pause before responding, sometimes they have even more to say and you get full clarity on their perspective. So pause before reacting because, when you're offended, it's usually felt first. Then it starts to be fueled. Don't allow that match to flame some crazy fire inside of you. Just pause and then assume positive intent. This is a big one. Most feedback is not meant to hurt you, it's meant to help you. And this really comes down to trust. When you onboard somebody new at your salon, how are you establishing trust? I realized that I wasn't doing the best job at this because I trust my leaders so much that they do all the hiring. So by the time I had met new team members, they might have been on the team for a month or whatnot. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is our monthly team meeting. It's my first time meeting you. I'm like, hello, welcome. And they're like, I don't even know you. I've been here for 3 weeks and we've never met. So one of the new behaviors that I've put into practice is that part of the onboarding is one of the subtasks. It's literally assigned to me is to connect with our new hires and go and have coffee with them, like outside of the salon, time off, get away, and just go sit down. And I just love learning about people. It's like the podcaster in me. So I get a chance to sit down and tell me how you grew up. What was your life like? What has shaped you into who you are? It's just so fun to get to know people. And you always find those things that you have in common. And once you establish that trust, you have a level of care because remember, people don't care what you know until they know you care. So if you're a leader who you're trying to share wisdom and feedback with somebody, it's going to be better received if that person knows that you genuinely care about them and want to see them win. Now, on the flip side, if you haven't established that, just still, if you're receiving the feedback, open yourself up to the assumption that it's coming from a good place. Sometimes we're too quick to think people are out to get us. They don't really like us. They don't want to see us succeed. That is not a great way to live. And I would just encourage you, and I've lived like that with a big old chip on the shoulder, and I still have to brush that chip off once in a while and remind myself that there are people out there that are for you, not against you, and assume the best in others. Assume positive intent right from the beginning. Next, look for truth in the correction. Even poorly delivered feedback can have a nugget of wisdom. What's the true thing that was said? Maybe the delivery of the feedback was terrible. And it was like, wow, that was harsh. Okay. And it's hard to look past that. And then oftentimes we create all this drama. We gaslight it. We say, oh, this person did this to me. And you flip it on people. That is not right. Sit back. Maybe they didn't deliver it great. Whatever. Are you going to try to grow from it? What was true about what was said? And how can you take it? Because is it going to matter 5 years from now, 10 years from now? It could matter in a positive way. It could impact your life so greatly that what they've said, even if it was said poorly, that you needed to hear that. So being open to the truth in the correction and then shifting your perspective. Correction is a sign that someone sees your potential. Whoa. Let me say that again, because I've been around leaders who are viewed as really tough. I love tough coaches personally. Shoot it to me straight. Like I need that a boy once in a while. Wow, you knocked it out of the friggin' park, Katie. Like I need that once in a while. But I get corrected. Like for example, my training coach, my strength training coach, I send him videos of my form, of my lifts, and he will once in a while say, wow, nailed it. Wow, you're strong. Or way to do this, way to do that. But most of the time, there's feedback. Remember when you get fatigued to bring chest to bar, or, like there's always something. There's always something that it's like I haven't perfected the thing I'm working on. And neither will we in this industry in working on our craft. There is no real perfection, and we're always evolving and we're always improving, and there's always new trends. So therefore we could never fully arrive. So when somebody sees something in you and your potential and they offer you a nugget of wisdom, take it, because that is really powerful. So shifting your perspective to see that this person understands my potential and they want me to have this feedback. Now, if you're a leader listening to this and you are the feedback queen, you always got something to say. You were an A, but here's what would make it an A plus. I love hearing that kind of feedback. But remember to really show your admiration as well. Like it takes courage for new people to get into this industry and perform in front of others. It's like being on stage. When you get behind the chair and you start working with clients, you are all of a sudden performing on stage, and you are the lead actor or actress in this, and you know what I'm saying? Like there is no faking it at that point. You could pretend like you're not as good as you are, you could whatever, but there really is no getting out of, I am now running this show. So it takes a lot of courage to do that. So always recognizing as a leader and others, give that feedback. Always look for how to make it go from A to A plus. but make sure you're like, this is what you did well. This is what you did well. This is what you did well. If I had to think of one thing to of growth, maybe this would be this little thing, but otherwise you're amazing. If you ask any of the team members that I work alongside, both in our software company through Maya and the salon, I think, and this is just one of those things I kind of want to be remembered for, is somebody who will encourage you. It doesn't mean that I will never have feedback. And all of them could probably raise their hand and said, Katie's giving me some pretty straightforward feedback. But I get a ton of encouragement as well. And that should be the same when you're leading others. Choosing growth over ego. This is another way to allow yourself to move past and overcome offense. Choose growth over your ego. Humility is the price of progress. Oh my gosh. So your pride will and ego will be like, they don't even know me. They don't know my life. They don't know. They didn't see all this time. And like, all you want to do is like justify yourself or I'm better. Don't act better than you are. Okay. Like, humble yourself. You think you're great? Go to a hair show and see all the people on stage and now tell me how great you are. Like, and I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying we are never to see ourselves like the exception. Like, this is a gift to be a part of. Humble yourself and being open to growing. I'll tell you this. I've had over 550 guests. I mean, we have over 620 episodes at this point. I've done a lot on my own. So I'm just going to say at this point, I know for sure I have like over 550 guests that I've had on. And the very best people, like the people that you're like, their street cred is incredible. They've achieved the most. I would look at them as the GOAT of the industry, greatest of all time in this industry. What do they have in common? Well, one of the number one things they have in common is they're humble and they never feel like they've done enough. They can always get better. They always want to be better. They want to be around new people that they can learn from. Doesn't matter if you're new to the industry, doesn't matter if you're young, if you've been around for a while. They see good things. They want to learn from them, from those good things, so that they can be the best versions of themselves. And that to me is one of the most inspiring things. Humble yourself and choose growth over ego and pride. Teams that can give and receive correction without offense grow faster and trust more deeply. When you look at the very best salons that you want to emulate, you want your salon to be like theirs. What do they have in common? Well, they don't allow people to just show up and do whatever. They have structure, they have standards. They produce amazing work. Think about following them on Instagram. You see the life behind the scenes, you see their culture, you see their vibe. You also see that they're incredible at what they do. You can't get that way without training and correction. The word correction in and of itself feels hard to handle, but reframe it. Correction equals growth. Leaders who correct with grace and receive correction with humility set the tone for the culture. So, whoa, flip the script a little bit. If you're a leader who can dish it out, but you can't take it, that is not going to last. I used to have a really hard time taking feedback. And I don't know what, I cannot describe like a moment. This is where it flipped. I think just constant, steady listening to other leaders, immersing myself in other leadership podcasts and conferences. And I just saw this theme of like, leaders are meant to serve. We're meant to give credit to others when things go great. When things don't go great, it's on us to say, this is on us. And if, when people are like, hey, and now I start asking for it. I ask my team, hey, you guys, I tend to do this. If you're noticing I'm doing this, call me out. I want to be called out. I actually don't want this to be a habit. So whatever it might be, I literally go to my team and tell them, tell me when you think that I'm too hard on somebody, or if I'm not hard enough, or if I've over talked, or if I'm adding too much value. By the way, that's a huge issue for me. Like every conversation I have with my leaders, I want to give my feedback. And they're like, Katie, we got it. Like, we didn't need your feedback. Like, I take their good thing and I tell them all the ways they could make it better. Sometimes that can feel like I'm poo pooing on their thing. And there is a time and place to say, in your heart, like, I may have done it a little differently. And that's, by the way, it's a reflection of being creative, and you just want to have so much fun and be creative with them and be involved and collaborate. But sometimes you don't have to come up with the ideas. Sometimes you just are like, hey, cool idea. Let it ride out. Let's do it, you guys. It's awesome. And sometimes, using feedback in the form of correction is one thing. Giving feedback constantly about every little thing because you're trying to add value can actually be overbearing as F. So please check yourself. I've had to do that, and go ahead and tell your team, like, I don't want to add too much value. If you're like, Katie, too much value, love you, but you're adding too much value, like, ask for that. Your career and your income and your influence will grow in proportion to your ability to overcome offense. So the less offended you can be, the more you're going to grow. The more offended you're going to be, the less you're going to grow. Simple as that. So here's what I want to encourage you to think about. Reflect on this. What's one piece of correction you've resisted because you were offended? What growth might you unlock if you revisited it with humility? So I'm going to say it again. What's one piece of correction you've revisited? Or I'm so sorry. I'll say that again. What's one piece of correction you've resisted? Where have you been resisting correction? And that's offended you. And then what growth might you actually unlock if you revisit that with humility? I just want you to think about reframing offense more as an opportunity, less as an obstacle. It's an opportunity for growth. And I'm just going to end with this quote from my buddy, Craig Rochelle. He doesn't even know he's my buddy. Craig, if you're ever going to listen, you do have a huge impact. Thank you for what you do. God is using you in a really, really special way. So as he would quote, correction is not rejection, it's direction. Let me say that again. Correction is not rejection, it's direction. Friends, I hope this has made an impact on you. I hope this is one of those episodes that you can share with your leaders, that your leaders would have the courage to also share with their team that they lead. And if you have loved this podcast, please take a moment to leave us 5 stars wherever you're listening so that more people will discover Beyond the Technique. We're here to change the way that you're supporting your business. One more thing, in our show notes, one of the ways I want to help change your business is specifically with your marketing team, which is why I wrote this book, From First Date to Forever. You can have a signed copy if you go to the link in our show notes. You can get it on Amazon. It'll be delivered quickly to you. If you want it to come within the week or so, go to the link in our show notes. That's where I will sign this copy for you. And it's an owner's guide to marketing like a matchmaker. So if you want your team to learn about the customer buying process, I share a really special analogy throughout the book of how that exactly mimics the dating, the falling in love, the being in a committed relationship. I give you actual visual examples of marketing campaigns that have worked. It's everything your marketing team needs, nothing it does not need. Take every idea, make it your own. I hope you love it. And I hope you love this podcast. Until next time, everybody, have an awesome day and stay strong.